Hi, I'm Carl Azus with your commercial-free source for news for the classroom. Welcome to all of our viewers worldwide. Yesterday, the first person diagnosed in the U.S. with the Ebola virus died at a hospital in Dallas, Texas. 42-year-old Thomas Eric Duncan had been admitted with symptoms just over a week beforehand. The pastor of his family's church says Duncan's loved ones are grieving and afraid. Officials believe Duncan caught the hemorrhagic fever in Liberia, the West African nation hardest hit by the disease. It's not known yet whether anyone in the U.S. caught it from him. A person from Frisco, Texas, not far from Dallas, was transferred to the hospital yesterday with Ebola-like symptoms. Health officials said it was a low-risk event, but they were taking no chances. Also yesterday, the U.S. government announced new screening methods for travelers arriving in the U.S. At 5 major airports, Atlanta, Chicago, JFK, Newark, and Washington Dulles, passengers from Ebola-stricken nations could have their temperatures taken and be given questionnaires. Of course, the U.S. isn't the only country taking precautions.
South Korea's first line of defense is prevention. Now, even though there are no direct flights from any of the infected countries arriving here in South Korea, back in August, Korean Air decided to indefinitely cancel all of its flights in and out of Kenya. There hasn't been a single confirmed case of Ebola in the East African nation, but it is a major transport hub, so Korean Air didn't want to take chances. Now, every single passenger will come through here, even from the United States. A full-body infrared scanner. It measures passengers' body temperature. Green and yellow is normal. Red means there is a heightened temperature. Anyone with over 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees centigrade has to see an on-site doctor. Any flight from Ethiopia, the only African flight still operating to Seoul, has one of these at the gate, so passengers can be checked as soon as they step off the plane. Anyone transferring from or who has visited one of the infected countries has to see the on-site doctor, whether they have a temperature or not. And if the doctor's concerned, the passenger's quarantined in a separate medical centre right here at the airport. It's only happened once so far, and it turned out to be a false alarm. But with an incubation period of up to 21 days, authorities know that this is not a foolproof system. So what they do is anyone of interest, health officials will call them up every single day after they leave this airport to check that they're not showing any symptoms.
The strongest storm of the year is brewing in the Pacific Ocean, and it has southern Japan in its sights. As of last night, Typhoon Vongfong was over open water with sustained wind speeds of 178 miles per hour. That makes it a super typhoon, the equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane in the Atlantic. And officials expected Vongfong to get even stronger. If it stays on course to Japan, meteorologists predict it will weaken before making landfall, possibly to the equivalent of Category 3 strength, still capable of devastating damage. This is especially bad timing for Japan because it was just hit by another typhoon, Panfong, last week. It forced more than 1 million people to evacuate to shelters. CNN heroes are all studies in character. These are ordinary folks who see a need in their communities, work to meet it, and then help change lives for the better. You get to help decide the CNN Hero of the Year. Voting is now open at cnn.com/heroes. Here are the top 10 finalists.
From England, John Burns. He made it his mission to mobilize the passion of fellow soccer fans to make a difference. Now he and volunteers have helped thousands of poor children in cities hosting the World Cup and Euro games. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Dr. Wendy Ross is opening new worlds to autistic children and their families. Since 2010, her program has helped more than 200 families navigate the challenge of public settings.
Sueños y ideas en
Acción! From Guatemala, Juan Pablo Romero Fuentes. He turned his family's home into a refuge for young people in his violence-stricken country, providing educational opportunities and support to more than 1,000 children. From Albany, New York, Ned Norden.
Ready to go to work?
Heck yeah!
For the last 25 years, he's provided strength and conditioning training to hundreds of people living with disabilities.
Stretch up. Nice job.
From Hartford, Connecticut, Patricia Kelly. Her farm is an urban oasis for at-risk kids in her hometown, where she uses horses as a hook to keep youth off the streets and on the right track. Leela Hazza lives most of the year in the Amboseli region of Kenya, where she's helping to preserve the lion population. Her group has transformed dozens of Africa's so-called lion killers into lion protectors.
So let's take it right before the melody comes in.
From Washington, D.C., Arthur Bloom, a professional musician, helps injured troops at Walter Reed Medical Center. Through his program, hundreds of wounded warriors have tapped into the healing power of music. From England, Penn Farthing. This former British officer rescued a street dog while serving in Afghanistan. His group has now reunited almost 700 other soldiers with the stray animals they befriended there.
I can't believe it that they're here.
From Baltimore, Maryland, Annette March Greer grew up in her family's funeral home. Now she helps families in her native city cope with grief.
His brother died, so he's feeling really sad.
Since 2008, she's provided a safe place for nearly 1,000 children to heal.
Good.
And from Southfield, Michigan, Rabbi Elimelech Goldberg lost his daughter to leukemia. Now he's helping kids use martial arts to cope with the pain and fear of their cancer treatments.
You've heard the term jaywalker, someone who crosses a street while ignoring laws or traffic. But why jaywalker? Well, jay is an old school term for a foolish person. So jaywalker, foolish walker. Now that's random. The National Football League has a new way of tracking players' movements and a lot more. It has this rule that says the NFL may require players to wear sensors that collect information about their performance and safety. Many teams can and do use GPS to do this, but because there are so many players on the field at once, it's trying out something even more accurate.
The biggest change in the NFL this season? Next generation statistics, unveiling multiple layers of data for each player as the game unfolds, allowing coaches to understand their players better and monitor their performance. How fast is that player running? Is he fatigued? How hard was that vicious hit? Radio frequency identification, or RFID chips, embedded in players' shoulder pads will answer all of that and more this NFL season. Billed as next-generation technology, the core engineering is actually decades old. RFIDs were actually created by engineer Mario Cardullo, a precursor to the invention of the Easy Pass. But the NFL is taking Cardullo's idea to the next level. Companies like Motorola, Alien Technology, and Apple are among a host of companies in the RFID business. But the NFL has partnered with Zebra MotionWorks, who've created a sports platform that can locate each RFID chip within 6 inches. A network of sensors planted around the stadium then gathers the data from the uniform embedded chips in real time. Software crunches the data and reports back on players' direction, speed profiles, accumulated distances, fitness graphs, and heat maps, all of which is fed to the game's live broadcast. With more data comes more insight into player impact and safety, more fodder to feed a stats-obsessed fan base, and more precision on whether that player just made a first down or came up just a few inches short.
The transcript page at CNNStudentNews.com. It's the one place where we select schools for our roll call. From yesterday's transcript, we found the Warriors of Heidelberg, Alaska. They're watching at Heidelberg City School on Prince of Wales Island. Indian Springs Middle School is next. We've got the Eagle Stars from Columbia City, Indiana. Good to see y'all. And in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, the Warriors of Waccamaw High School say they're like butter because they're on a roll. Let's say you're great at soccer and you want to learn golf, but you don't have the time or money for clubs or lessons. What's an athlete to do? Well, check it. Foot golf, as in foot golf. Same rules as golf, but with your feet and a bigger 21-inch diameter cup. Because you can't kick a soccer ball as far as you can hit a golf ball, the average foot golf hole is less than half the distance away as a traditional golf hole. It's cheaper to play, too, so whether you achieve the feat of victory or feel the agony of defeat, it's not hard to foot the bill, and you're guaranteed to get a kick out of it without ever joining a club. We're going to golf find some more stories and puns to tee up for you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.